Welcome to the virtual pre-recorded open house for Mill Pond Park Revitalization Master Plan and Environmental Assessment, which we'll refer to from here on after as EA. My name is Michelle Dobby, and I'm the Manager of Park and Natural Heritage Planning with the City. I'm here today with Jeremy Wykreshek, who is the Manager of Water Resources with the City, and who you'll hear from in the next slide. Our teams are working together to complete the Park Master Plan and EA components of this project jointly. And we're excited to hear your input on the early findings and options through the public survey. Please feel free to rewind or revisit this information in the pre-recorded video to help answer the survey questions.
The City initiated the Mill Pond Park Revitalization Master Plan and EA to aid in achieving the corporate goal of balancing growth and green. The area around Mill Pond is changing as directed by the City's official plan, which will see more residents and employees in the area around this park in the future. The Master Plan and EA will establish a phased vision to revitalize Mill Pond Park in advance of the planned growth. Phasing the implementation of the Master Plan and EA improvements will also ensure financial sustainability. The City has retained a multidisciplinary team to complete this project, with the Park Master Plan led by Dillon Consulting and the EA led by the Municipal Infrastructure Group, also known as TMIG, both of whom you will hear from later in the presentation.
Just as background on the Park Revitalization Master Plan, the original plan was created in 1970, and it focused on the notion of enhancing residents' experience of the water's edge, which remains a key focal feature of the park many of us know and love today. Since that time, Mill Pond has been developed in stages, adding various park facilities and trails, along with completing numerous invasive species management and tree removal and replacement projects. More recently, the City acquired the 71 Regent Street lands at the north end of the park, which enables Mill Pond Park to be physically connected to Stavert Park to the west. With this recent acquisition, Mill Pond Park is 19.1 hectares in size, with the majority of the land area being comprised of environmental and open space areas.
Another component of the Mill Pond Park Revitalization Project is the environmental assessment of the stormwater management and valley land systems. The study area mostly includes the main park area with a storm pond called Heritage Estates Pond, depicted in the map as number 1. Also Mill Pond itself, shown as number 2, and the trail and channel area north of Mill Pond, shown as number 3. The EA will also be considering the river valley land system to the south of Mill Street, also shown as number 3 in the map. We've completed a number of field investigations to characterize the existing conditions of the study area, including the cultural, natural environment, and technical engineering components. This presentation will provide a summary of our findings so far and some ideas we have to improve the infrastructure and valley land systems.
As you can see from the timeline on this slide, we're about a third of the way through this project. We've completed the background studies and analyzed the input received from the 1,071 members of the public that responded to the survey. And as shown by the red arrow on the slide, we're looking for your input on the study findings to date and the preliminary park options. This input will help us arrive at the preferred option, finalize the remaining technical studies, like the parking strategy, after which point we'll move forward with approvals later next year and into early 2023. The next few slides summarize the key desires we're hearing from the public survey. Firstly, that the Mill Pond is beloved as a natural oasis in the heart of Richmond Hill for all the elements great parks have: great culture, great recreation, and great open space. Maintaining and enhancing these attributes will be key. We also heard support for improving the connectivity of the southern portion of Mill Pond Park with the northern portion of the park, and a desire for different material or signage to distinguish a main trail system. The photos on this slide show example materials that could be used along with example wayfinding signage. We heard support for creative placemaking techniques and educational signage to unify the various sections of Mill Pond Park. A desire to add physical connections to the gallery came through clearly in the survey, along with a desire to add educational signs that highlight the Indigenous history and natural and stormwater features of the park, and landscaped entry features like that shown in the photo on the right-hand side of the screen. Finally, we heard support to balance the visual, ecological, recreational, cultural, and maintenance and operational needs of the site and community, including renaturalizing the 71 Regent Street lands with meadow species like the photo on the left shows, adding green parking like is shown in the middle of the screen, and providing passive recreational uses and amenities like the shelter shown on the right-hand side of the screen. And now I'll pass the mic over to Ben from TMIG, who will summarize the EA background findings to date.
The Environmental Assessment, or EA, portion of the study is being led by the Water Resources section at the City of Richmond Hill, with consultant support from TMIG and a team of specialist sub-consultants. My name is Ben Worth and I'm the Consultant Project Manager for the EA. The objective of the study is to evaluate options for the rehabilitation of Mill Pond and the existing stormwater management facility known as the Heritage Estates Pond in the northeast corner of the park. The study will evaluate a number of options and determine the best rehabilitation solution to improve water quality, reduce erosion and prevent flooding in the area. The study is being conducted as a Schedule B project in accordance with the Municipal Class EA process. The project is also being undertaken in close collaboration with the Mill Pond Park Revitalization Master Plan, further details of which are available later in this presentation. Feel free to pause this video at any point to review the information presented on screen in more detail or to move through the presentation as you see fit. The Municipal Class EA process is a provincially mandated process that guides the planning and implementation of municipal infrastructure projects to ensure that the final recommendations are based on a fair and balanced review of all relevant background information with input from the public as well as other government agencies. As shown on screen, we are currently in Phase 2 of the EA process, and this pre-recorded presentation is the first public open house for the project. The following slides provide an overview of the existing site conditions and present some preliminary alternatives that are under consideration. The EA study area covers the entirety of the Mill Pond Park area, as well as the valley lands surrounding the Easton River as it runs south of Regent Street down to Kerrybrook Drive. The park is a well-used community facility and a destination within the Richmond Hill area. The upper Easton River drains through the park, and it was the construction of a water control structure at Mill Street in the mid-1800s that formed Mill Pond initially. There are three main stormwater components that the team is focusing on. Firstly, the Heritage Estates swim facility, secondly, Mill Pond itself, and thirdly, the trail and river areas to the north and south of Mill Pond. The Heritage Estates swim facility was constructed in the late 1980s to accommodate residential development to the north and northeast. The facility was designed to control peak flow rates and mitigate impacts on water quality in the upper Easton River by detaining sediment and other pollutants from the residential area runoff. Analysis of the facility indicates that it is still achieving target water quality objectives per current guidelines, but that it does not provide sufficient storage volume to meet current quantity control or erosion control guidelines. It is also noted that the configuration of the pond does not meet current design guidance in several areas. Observations at the site also indicate that there has been some scour and erosion near the outlet, which needs to be remediated. Surveys of the pond indicate that it has accumulated around 2,000 cubic metres of sediment. Additional field observations include that the storm sewer inlets and overland flow routes are generally in good condition, and that ditches are eroding on both sides of the nearby trail leading west, and that the trail appears to flood relatively frequently. As noted previously, Mill Pond was formed by the construction of a water control structure at Mill Street for industrial purposes in the mid-1800s, and that the pond was not designed specifically to improve water quality and quantity. It therefore currently provides only limited benefits in that regard. Surveys of the pond show significant sediment accumulation, especially at the north end, with an estimated accumulated volume of 16,500 cubic metres. Amongst other things, this sediment accumulation is understood to be contributing to poor winter skating conditions. The concrete weir and culvert that control water elevations and outflow from the pond at Mill Street were observed to be in good condition. However, they are a barrier to fish passage, and due to the warming effect the sun has over the pond surface, Mill Pond contributes to elevated water temperatures in the river system downstream. An assessment of the upper Easton River within the study area, both upstream and downstream of Mill Pond, has been completed, and the key findings are presented on this slide. Field inspections of the 4 existing watercourse crossing structures north of Mill Pond have been completed, and it was concluded that the twin 600mm diameter culverts downstream of the Heritage Estates swim facility are in very poor condition, but that all other bridges, culverts and boardwalks are in fair to good condition structurally, although they continue to be impacted by erosion and shallow cover. There were 3 structures assessed south of Mill Pond. Firstly, the culvert and concrete weir at Mill Street, which are considered to be in good condition. Secondly, the existing gabion wall on the east side of the channel immediately south of Mill Street. Inspections here indicated that the wall is slowly rotating due to undermining of the footings by flow in the river. Lastly, the timber pedestrian bridge further south was noted to be in fair condition, although some deterioration of the timber caps was observed. The existing natural heritage conditions within the study area were assessed and documented through a range of site surveys and field sampling. From a fauna perspective, only 2 species at risk were identified through the bird survey, as well as 4 endangered bat species. It was also noted that the Upper East Don River south of Mill Pond is designated as recovery habitat for the endangered red-side dace. For the flora aspects, none of the ecological studies completed found any endangered, threatened or special concern plant species. Potential wetlands in the park are also in the process of being evaluated for significance. The next section of the presentation will present a summary of the problems and opportunities that have been determined through review of existing conditions, followed by some preliminary options for remedial works that could help address the problems identified. Firstly, for the Heritage Estates swim facility, the problems to be solved include that the pond does not meet current design standards for water quality and flood control, that the pond configuration does not meet current design guidelines in terms of steep side slopes and the absence of forebays at inlet locations, that the current configuration of the outlet control weir may lead to it being damaged during large storm events, that there are multiple informal flow paths from the outlet of the pond to the river, impacting the trail with flooding and erosion issues, and that the ongoing accumulation of sediment will reduce pond function over time. The opportunities to address these concerns include reconfiguration of the outlet structure to improve available pond storage for additional flood and erosion control, modifying the pond's internal flow path to improve water quality treatment performance, and realigning the outlet channel. The alternatives under consideration for the Heritage Estates swim facility therefore include removal of the accumulated sediment, restoring berm grades around the control weir at the outlet to prevent damage and flooding during large storm events, creating sediment forebays, essentially deepened portions of the pond in the immediate vicinity of the current pipe inflow points, and or creating an internal berm to elongate the flow path, reconfiguring the existing outlet structure to maximise use of available storage in the pond and improve downstream flood and erosion control performance, constructing a new outfall channel running south from the outlet structure to the northeast corner of Mill Pond. This would mitigate current issues with the outfall flow path to the Upper East Don River, as well as improving flow circulation in the north part of Mill Pond. The problems identified for Mill Pond include significant sediment accumulation that is negatively impacting the pond, both from an environmental perspective as well as from a public recreation function. The outlet weir and culvert at Mill Street present a barrier to fish passage within the system and contribute to warming of water that is released downstream. And stagnant water conditions have been observed in the north part of the pond. Opportunities to address these identified problems would include removing the accumulated sediment, reconfiguring the northern limits of the pond, and modifying the outlet structure from Mill Pond. Potential alternatives under consideration for Mill Pond therefore include removing the accumulated sediment to improve conditions, reshaping the northern limits of the pond in conjunction with sediment removal activities to help improve flow circulation and minimise stagnant water conditions. This option could have a connection with the potential outfall channel from the Heritage Estates swim facility, shown in blue in this image, to improve conditions in the north part of Mill Pond. The concerns associated with fish passage could be addressed through construction of a fish ladder feature below Mill Street. And finally, the water temperature impacts of Mill Pond could be mitigated through retrofitting the outlet structure with a bottom drawer outlet pipe, which would pull water from the lower parts of the pond where it is naturally cooler. The problems identified with the portions of the trail and river system within the study area include deterioration of the riverbank in some areas, erosion and flooding issues at crossing points between the watercourse and the existing trails, and the Gabion Wall south of Mill Street on the east side of the river is slowly failing and requires attention. The opportunities associated with these issues, though, would include repair or replacement of the failing Gabion Wall structure, reconfiguration of the trail network in a way that would minimise the number of watercourse crossings, and finally, implementing a variety of natural environment improvements throughout the study area. The alternatives under consideration for the trail and river areas therefore include repairing or replacing pedestrian crossings in their current locations, working in conjunction with the park's master plan team to reconstruct and realign the trail system to reduce the number of crossings required and therefore minimise disturbance to the river system, enhancing the natural environment system through fish barrier removals, riparian planting and other riverbank improvements, and finally repairing or replacing the failing Gabion Wall structure south of Mill Street, or removing it entirely and regrading the surrounding area to avoid the need for a retaining structure at all. That concludes the presentation of work completed to date on the Class EA study. Thank you again for your interest in the project and for engaging with this online public open house session. Public feedback is a critical component of the EA process, and your responses to the project survey would be very much appreciated. If you should have any additional comments or questions on any aspect of the project that can't be encapsulated in the survey responses, please direct them to either of the project contacts shown on screen now. We look forward to hearing your feedback.
We are pleased to present the master plan designs that we call Option A, Adaptive Landscape, and Option B, that is Destination Landscape. For each of the options, the following principles are primary components of each plan. Reflect the community comments that were clear to protect the character and ecology of the site. Create a primary, safe, and clearly defined north-south trail system. Accommodate the cultural and recreational uses, both for passive use and for events. Protect and enhance the ecological zones in the park. And resolve park facilities in the Mill Pond Gallery and integrate new parkland at 71 Regent Street into Stavert Park as a community park zone.
When we look at the overall options, it's important to recognize that there are particular park zones that harbor most of the change, while most of the park itself preserves an ecological and aquatic focus. The park zones establish focal points of parks programming, building upon existing parks activities, and providing a fresh update from a design perspective. The three park zones include the town square, located in the southern portion of the park, centered upon Mill Street, Village Green, including Upper Mill Pond Park and the entry from the eastern neighborhoods, and Countryside Grounds, including Stavert Park and the recently acquired 71 Regent Street property. These park zones are also connected by a new primary trail running north-south. The options that we are about to present are built upon this basic framework. Option A, titled Adapting Landscape, is really a light touch on the existing park, which overall revitalizes the main park components in their current location. This option also provides an overall improved circulation pattern through primary trail alignment and improves the secondary trail network. There is also a modest parking lot and supporting program provided by a new gateway feature into the park from 71 Regent Street in the north end of the park. Ian will explain more of the park features in further detail.
So now we'll present a more detailed look at Option A, the Adapting Landscape. First, looking at the town square area of Mill Pond. As indicated, this approach focuses on the revitalization of the existing features of the park and retains the natural attributes and character of the Mill Pond Park. Area 1 proposes the renovation of the existing Mill Pond Gallery, providing improved gallery space functions and improved operation support. It includes a south-facing terrace and expanded pollinator gardens and park space. South of Mill Street, an improved accessible walkway links Trench Street, bridges the creek, and links to Mill Street at the west end of the park. The existing washroom buildings will be renovated and expanded. the Millennium Gardens are also proposed to be expanded. North of Mill in the town square, a new park arrival entrance is proposed that better links the main park trail to a safe intersection crossing for pedestrians at Trench and Mill. The parkland includes improved paved zones for supportive events, landscaped areas for shading and tree protection, and the restoration of the park gazebo. A lookout area at the edge of the pond creates a scenic seating terrace that also supports winter skate change, staging, and operations access. Existing playgrounds will remain in their current location. Northward along the pond, a series of seating lookouts are proposed with enhanced natural shoreline edges. In the village green in option A, the main trail runs northward along the mill pond edge, featuring a series of passive seating areas along the water's edge. The eastern green, area 4, provides needed open space and lawn as a more urban picnic zone. Further north, a new natural creek channel connects the Stormwater pond with the mill pond, continuing the main trail with lookouts over the water's edge landscape. In the central area, a new boardwalk feature in place of the existing on-grade trails supports a connected and protected ecology. The Upper Mill Pond Park to the west retains the open park setting and creates a main trail circuit along the perimeter of the space with connections aligned with the local sidewalk network. In the countryside grounds at Regent Street, option A builds on many of the existing features of the existing site and also integrates new parkland with Stavert Park. Area 1 illustrates improved playground facilities with better walkway and seating and connections to Regent Street. A gateway feature highlights the park entry. A new small parking area and drop-off uses previous road access patterns to establish new in-park green parking. Utilizing existing infrastructure, a washroom building, information kiosk, and operation support is proposed at the northeast corner of the park. The park features a top-of-bank walkway with seating that overlooks the proposed meadow landscape in the valley. The open main lawn along Regent Street creates additional parkland space and an opportunity for temporary optional skating areas in the winter.
Option B, titled Pond Destination Landscape, is similar to option A in the sense that it protects and enhances the existing natural heritage footprint. However, option B also anticipates an increase in park goers with intensified uses that are centered upon the 3 park zones. Therefore, one of the main differences between option A and B results in spatial changes to some of the park facilities, introduction of new park facilities, new lookouts, and secondary connections. This includes a new bridge linking the primary trail from the north end of Mill Pond to a secondary trail up to Upper Mill Pond Park. Ian will explain some of the finer details.
The option B destination landscape focuses on the revitalization and the addition of park features and park components to enhance the natural attributes, ecology, and character of the Mill Pond Park. In the town square area, Area 1 proposes the creation of an open space parkland, sculpture, and pollinator garden. South of Mill Street, an improved accessible walkway links Trench Street and bridges over the creek, extending further southward to create a longer trail loop, arriving at the west edge of the park at Mill Street. The plan features a new focal point, a central park building at Area 5 that includes a new art gallery, expanded washrooms, actors' change areas, heated area, and indoor and outdoor cafe, as well as a lower level operations center. North of Mill Street in option B also proposes a new, safe pedestrian entrance and park arrival and gateway area at Trench and Mill Streets. The parkland includes improved paved zones for support of events, landscaped areas for shading and tree protection, and the relocation of the park gazebo into a central area to better support park events. A lookout deck at the edge of the pond creates a scenic seating terrace that also supports winter skate changing, staging, and operations access. The existing playgrounds will be relocated away from the street edge, and also northward along the pond, a series of seating lookouts are proposed among a naturalized shoreline condition. In the village green in option B, the main trail runs northward along the mill pond edge, featuring a series of passive seating areas overlooking the pond. In Area 4, an expanded forested area is proposed to further expand the forest canopy area. A key feature of option B is the pedestrian bridge at the north end of the pond that allows strategic east-west connections as well as scenic views south over the pond. A trail connection in Area 6 will complete this strategic pedestrian link into the upper Mill Pond Park. Further north in Area 3, a new natural creek channel connects the Stormwater Pond with the Mill Pond, continuing the main trail with lookouts over the water's edge landscape. In the central area, a new boardwalk feature in place of the existing on-grade trails supports a connected and protected ecology. The upper Mill Pond Park to the west retains the open park setting. It creates a main trail circuit along the perimeter of the space, with connections aligned with the local sidewalk network. A circuit loop with seating and fitness stations is proposed surrounding a central green. In the countryside grounds at Regent Street, Plan B builds on many of the existing amenities, integrates new parkland with Stavert Park, and adds additional features to the north side of Mill Pond Park. Area 1 illustrates improved playground facilities with expanded play facilities, improved walkways, and seating and shading. Utilizing existing infrastructure, a washroom building, information kiosk, and operations support area is proposed in Area 4 at the northeast corner of the park. The park features a top-of-bank pedestrian promenade with shaded areas, seating, and lookout points over the new meadowlands in the valley area. Area 8 indicates the expanded court area with 2 tennis and 2 pickleball courts. The open main lawn along Regent Street creates additional parkland space and an opportunity for temporary optional winter skating. Area 3 illustrates an adventure climbing and sliding structure using the existing valley slopes. Parking will remain as on-street parking along Regent Street.
One of the key experiences upon entering the park often comes from the corner of Mill and Trench Street. This illustration shows how options A and B will improve the overall entry into the park from Mill Street and Trench. This creates a more inviting entry into the park and creates a dynamic gateway and a balance of landscape features and hardscape to allow for a flexible interpretation of the space. From the previous survey, we recognize that educational signage and wayfinding is very important. We see the intervention of a new bridge across Mill Pond in this location as one of the main opportunities to update and enhance this experience. This conceptual visualization helps to illustrate how the bridge connection can enhance east-west connectivity over the water in a way that is sensitive to the natural heritage features. Discussed with the city and TRCA, this approach can help reduce pedestrian foot traffic along the north shore of the pond and discourage unwanted disturbance of ecology. This is particularly important as we anticipate wider usership of the park. The bridge is also an entry and a new focal point that can provide educational signage and wayfinding. The master plan has also given us an opportunity to think more about some of the most cherished parts of the park including some of the trails that bring us out of the city and into nature. The revitalization of the trails provides us a unique opportunity to rethink these cherished spaces by elevating the walkway and allowing for linking of the ecological zones that may have been bisected by the previous trail network, and also providing removal of invasive and diseased species and restoring them with native trees and plant material, going to further restore the urban forest and increasing canopy coverage. This will essentially reinforce the health and the natural heritage system through this part of the East Don watershed. The project team would like to thank you all for your interest in the Mill Pond Park Revitalization Master Plan and Environmental Assessment projects. The website is listed below and we hope that you will visit it. And we sincerely look forward to reviewing the results of the survey. Thank you again.